Okay, so we now reach the point where I'm going to talk about the quirks of each of these systems. Now, first things first is that remember that because these are all the 8-inch portrait mode, the portrait mode tablets, they have that same weird display driver quirk that I've actually talked about, and you can check the link for the video that I'll put a link to the other video I made about this problem. Not so much of an issue, but it's important to know because it's likely that some games in the Metro UI don't run properly because of that quirk. Now, let's talk about the Acer W4's quirks. The first most important problem about the Acer W4 is that there is something funky happening with the Bluetooth radio, in the sense that it just starts glitching out a lot on certain Bluetooth mice and keyboards and audio devices. I've posted a sort of fix for it, but after a while I realized that based on feedback from other people, I realized that that's not a perfect fix. So one thing you have to know, one thing about the Acer Iconia W4 is that there is something weird about the Bluetooth radio. If you use a lot of Bluetooth devices, you might want to rethink about it. It's most likely fixable by a Bluetooth driver update. I hope they actually fix it, because other than that, this is quite a great device. Now, there is one other issue, which is another funny issue. Now, these new Bay Trail tablets, they go into what we call connected standby mode when you turn off the power. Now, what connected standby is, it's a funky name for a system that works exactly like your iPads or your smartphones, which is basically when you turn it off, the display turns off, but most of the OS is still running. So it's not like your traditional notebook standby. It basically comes up immediately. Now, Intel Atoms in connected standby mode are supposed to draw very little power, but the issue here is that if we look at the power consumption for the Acer W4 in connected standby mode, it is draining a bit, around 1% an hour roughly. So that's actually a cause for some concern, and it means that when it's in standby, when it's sleeping and you're not using it, it's drawing more power than necessary. So again, this should be fixable in a future driver update. Let's hope Acer decides to keep working on it. Now, for the Dell Venue 8 Pro, the first most important quirk about it is that BitLocker, or rather the disk encryption for Windows, is actually turned on by default, and most people probably don't want that. So because with encryption on, reading and writing speeds are obviously slower than what the disk is actually capable of. So if you do get a Dell, what you want to do is you want to turn off the BitLocker encryption when you get it. Then that's simple enough. You go into settings, PC and devices, then go to PC info, and at the bottom of this screen you have a device encryption. Now on the Dell, by default, it's going to be on. So if you don't need that function, you might want to just turn it off so you can get back some of the read performance of your system. Another problem that I'm unable to test myself is that while the Venue 8 Pro supports a digitizer, it is neither a Wacom digitizer or even an Entric digitizer. It is a new digitizer by Synaptics, and while some reviews out there have been saying that it's actually a pretty good digitizer, there are also a lot of contradicting reports that says it's not as good as the other two. I wish I could test it, but I haven't had the opportunity to get a digitizer of my own yet. And of course, the final thing to remember about the Dell Venue 8 Pro is that the USB port isn't strong enough to power hard disks. I guess that is an important point that I need to stress again. The USB port on the Dell Venue 8 Pro cannot power hard disks. So you might need to be aware of that if you want to use hard disk with the Dell Venue 8 Pro. And so that was it. That was a very long comparison video between the Dell Venue 8 Pro and the Acer Iconia W4. Thanks for all your time of watching this, taking your time to watch this video, and I hope to have more for you regarding these two interesting devices in the future. Oh, yeah, right. I guess I should answer the question of which of these do I actually recommend. Well, that's actually a very difficult to answer question. Like I said, both of them are pretty great devices, and they're also very similar. They both have their flaws and they both have their advantages. Personally, I do like holding the Dell Venue 8 Pro more because, well, you have to touch it to know the feeling of holding the bag is actually, it really feels very good. It feels very nice to hold on the Dell Venue 8 Pro. So personally, I'm a bit biased towards leaning towards the Dell Venue 8 Pro because of the bag, the nice bag, the fact that it can charge from a USB power pack easier. But of course, there is the whole thing with USB hard disk, but that shouldn't be much of a problem for me. Well, the Acer Iconia W4, the good thing about it is that it has a HDMI port, so that comes in handy when you have to output the video to another screen. Of course, other than that, it seems like the Acer actually has a lot of things stacked against it. The Bluetooth problems would affect you if you use a lot of Bluetooth devices. Graphically, it seems to be worse off than the Venue 8 Pro, since trying to use it as a Steam gaming machine might not be as ideal. But the thing here is that in most countries, I think you can only find the Acer instead of the Dell. For example, I managed to get the Dell because, well, one of my friends brought it over for me from the States, whereas Dell Malaysia doesn't actually want to sell it here. So some people might not have a choice, and if you don't have a choice and you only have the Iconia W4, it's still a good buy. It's a worthy Atom tablet. It works. Nothing drastically defective with it, and it's cheap. So okay, again, thank you for your time, and I hope to talk to you all again soon. Bye.